So a story I shared a long time ago when it happened back in 2021 was my story of how I got crowd killed at Blue Ridge Rock Fest and ended up injuring and stoving both of my elbows. And, this is going to sound really fucked and it's kind of funny, but with the cold season approaching more and more here, and throughout the years I've noticed that the consequences of that have kind of been rearing its ugly head, where a lot of times I'll be able to just crack my elbows in ways that don't really sound that natural. And naturally, when you go to a metal or rock show, especially one with moshing, the general rule of thumb is if you don't want to be fucked with, stay away from the pit, don't do anything. But I don't think it's easy enough to boil it down to that, because there are plenty of instances and cases of people crowd killing people that aren't even related or near the pit. When I got crowd killed, I was standing fairly far away from the pit on the outskirts, clearly not involved whatsoever, and another person that was not in the mosh pit, that wasn't even related to the mosh pit in any way, not not even close to it, from behind me, put both of his hands on the back of my back. This was like a beefcake. This was like a gigantic dude, and I probably could have stayed up if, I had the time to brace, but it was right in the middle of a band set. I was loose. I was having fun. I was just vibing with everyone else on, the outskirts of the mosh pit, just watching, and dude literally just with his full weight, with no intention of going into the pit himself, pushed me full force, and I catapulted through the fucking air like a javelin and ended up coming down right in the middle of a pit during a metalcore breakdown. I broke my fall with both of my elbows, or I should say I came down on my wrists like this, to where they hyperextended like that. My wrist literally went like that. And I'm surprised I didn't really hurt my wrist more. I think I wasn't able to register how bad I hurt my fucking elbow, so it didn't really hit the same. But I ended up just falling flat on my fucking face and wrists. And I may have actually ended up passing out for a split second, because I was so disoriented. I barely remember any of it, but I just remember being very disoriented and in pain. And my story is one of dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people. And a lot of times you'll hear people say, well, if you step into the mosh pit, expect to get crowd killed. It's a possibility. You're open yourself up to that possibility. And I understand where you're coming from. And honestly, I agree with you. If you put yourself in that situation, you are not you're susceptible to anything, and people aren't liable for what happens within that pit. Once you sort of sign away your rights, when you step into that pit, you could literally walk out of there with a busted nose, a broken rib, just literally anything could happen. You could go unconscious, you could be fucking killed if it was serious enough. But I wasn't even involved with the mosh pit. This dude wasn't even involved with the mosh pit. And I still got put into that situation where I injured myself forever, to the point to where when I am older, my elbows are gonna be fucked. I am 23 and they already hurt and crack randomly for no fucking reason. And that took me weeks, months to recover fully and get to my same range of motion. And crowd killing as a concept, I think a lot of people belittle and demean as just being a fringe thing that only happens occasionally and only happens to people in the mosh pit. And you'll see the justification that, well, if you step into the mosh pit, get ready for whatever. I wasn't even in the mosh pit. And I've seen other stories and other people under the comment section of that video that talked about it as well, that talked about how, crowd killing had happened to them, how they weren't in a mosh pit, how they broke this or that, or they hurt themselves or got bloody or whatever. And it's one of those things where moshing is great and pits are usually very nice and considerate and they'll help anyone. I understand, but all it takes is one asshole. And when you're at a big show like that, you can literally be susceptible to just about anything. And you aren't signing up for that, because if you're not involving yourself with something, you can't really be expected to just prepare for everything, especially big ass beefcake dude javelin throwing you through the fucking air like he's at the fucking Olympics. Not to mention, just crowd killing as a concept is fucked. And the people that say that, even the people that are if you step into the mosh pit, expect it to happen. Okay, even if you're in the mosh pit, I understand you're gonna maybe come away from some injuries, and it can be a badge of honor. It's about camaraderie and a brother and sisterhood, and it doesn't really matter and all that sort of stuff. It's in dumb good fun, but don't go out of your way to just fucking hurt people. Push people around, shove people around, do your fucking spinning crane kicks and swirl around like that. That's awesome. That's cool. Good for you. But if you are actively trying to punch people, throw people, force people in such a way that is actively trying to be violent, I think that's when you are a little bit fucked, especially when you see videos of people fucking beating the shit out of people or literally sucker punching people that aren't even in the pit. People going around, they get so enveloped in the music and the vibe that they just go out of their way to hurt people, and that's just so fucked to me. So even if you're arguing in favor of, like, if you go into a mosh pit, expect anything to happen, that's still flawed, because why are you going out of your way to be that violent? There's a difference between, like, the play fighting that most mosh pits are made up of, and the smiles and beer flying in the air, and literally going out of your way to just ruin someone's day, ruin their experience, and potentially get them evacuated from the fucking place. What are you gaining out of that? It doesn't make you cool in the way you think it does, it just makes you a fucking douchebag. But what are your guys' opinions of crowd killing? You can let me know down in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash the notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Shane Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.